This time, we will do Vorazun with Withering Siphon Dark Archons. I chose this prestige because this will allow the Dark Archons to damage enemies with their confusion with 20 damage per second. Also, the downside is the combat units deal less damage, but the Archons aren't meant to deal auto attack damage. They're meant to steal units, and they're meant to confuse units to make them fight each other. So my masteries will be Black Hole Duration, so I can clump them all in the same spot and then cast Confusion all of them, make them fight each other. I'll use Time Stop because I will not be using any Shadow Guard, and Spear of Energy, so I can use lots and lots of Black Holes. So map as usual is Missed Opportunities, where we have to defend Statman's bots. Thank you to Notorious Thief, who is supporting me the mobilization rate here. In Darth, Karis Band, Lucinous Superiorness, and Shadow Archon, who are supporting me in the Pulse Cannon tier. And thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. So yeah, let's get to it. The map is Missed Opportunities, where we have to defend Statman's bots that come out of this base, and they go toward Terrazine Geysers. They will harvest Terrazine, and Amon will attack them. So our job is to protect those bots as they harvest. We cannot lose more than one bot on brutal difficulty. So let's go ahead. And first order of business is to drop a Dark Pylon down here, so I can have extra supply, and also so I have somewhere to put my gateway on. The Dark Archons get warped in using the gateways, and they can be warped in anywhere on the field as long as we have the Warp Gate research. I will actually go for a gateway here before gas. The reason is because I actually want to rush out my Dark Archons so that I'll have them as soon as the very first wave. Of course, after the gateway, I gotta start my gas because the Dark Archons are very gas intensive, so I want to have as much gas as possible. So what I do is, instead of saturating my main mineral line, I instead send every extra worker after the 14. So at 14 workers, you will have 2 workers per patch saturation, which is the most efficient way on the per worker basis. The rest of my workers get rallied straight to this expansion. You can see I even Dark Pylon recalled. The Dark Pylons have recall, by the way. You can recall your forces to that location. So as soon as the gateway completes, I start the Cybernetics Core back to this area. Do we have the workers working on these rocks? The workers have 5.75 damage per tick, so that's helpful. The Dark Pylon here is to help the probes increase their damage output against the rocks, and you can see it's already below half health with only 5 workers working on the rocks. Still chrono boosting out the workers. I do want more of them, but mostly to bring down these mineral rocks and make them not a thing. So when the Cybernetics Core completes, I want to start the Twilight Council right away. Again, I want to have my Dark Archons as early as possible. Again, Dark Pylon recall. So to do that, I started with a gateway before gas, and then Cybernetics Core right after the gateway, and then Twilight Council. And then after the Twilight Council, the Dark Shrine. So it's a 4-step tech tree to get to Dark Archons. And then they produce out of the gateway. You can see why not a lot of people make them, well, not a lot of good players at least. Start that gas. So you can say I prioritize the gas this time, because as I mentioned earlier, Dark Archons are very gas intensive. As soon as that Twilight Council completes, I start the Dark Shrine, and I start another gateway, actually before the Dark Shrine even, so that as soon as the Dark Shrine completes, I'll be able to warp in 2 Dark Archons. I even make these fake pylons over here. They're real pylons, but their purpose is to draw aggro from these Zealots, and I cancel them at the last second. You can see the refund over there. I cancel them at the last second so that I can get a little bit of value out of them and get the enemy to aggro on, well, not my real units. That bought me enough time to use Time Stop before the Zealots even start really whacking anything. So you can see that bought me enough time, this bought me just barely enough time to get this Dark Archon out. I'm going to send these workers over here. I mean, I can lose a few workers, that's a bit annoying, but ultimately I'd rather lose workers than my time. So I whack these guys, make them not a thing. So you can see these Zealots are already attacking these harvesting bots. So I gotta protect the harvesting bots by sending these Dark Archons. So these Dark Archons, yes, they do have an auto attack that damages ground and air enemies, but their primary purpose is being a spellcaster. So you can see this Dark Archon just used this spell called Confusion. So all these enemy zealots now are confused. What that means is they will start attacking, or they may start attacking each other. On top of that, with the Prestige of Withering Siphon, the zealots will take 20 damage per second. You can see right there that just allows me to waltz right in and finish them off. I put down another Dark Pylon over here because another perk of having cloaking for Vorazun is that your units regenerate energy faster while inside the Dark Pylon area by virtue of being cloaked. So these cloaked Dark Archons regenerate their health and shields faster, rather their shields and energy faster while in the Dark Pylon. And also, they benefit from the death recall while they are cloaked inside the Dark Pylon. So I use another confusion there that will make these zealots start whacking each other, which is all good for me. I whack this thing, and then I waltz toward this. I float toward this bonus, and kind of make them shoot each other. I Dark Pylon recall them even to lose aggro and to get that little bit of shield and energy regen. Mind control research is on the way. The energy upgrade has completed. That means these newly warped Dark Archons start with full energy. So that allows them to instantly mind control an enemy unit. And of course, that also allows them to use more confusions. So I've almost finished researching mind control. That will allow me to take this immortal and use its damage for my own army. So I mind control this Dark Archon and recall it right away so it doesn't get focused down. I use confusion to make them hit each other. So I recalled this this immortal over here so that it doesn't get focused down. So it just has to walk all the way back to the front, but that's fine. I hold off on using time stop at this moment because I'd rather use it on a 10-minute wave, which is a pretty big wave. So now I have a pretty decent army of 8 Dark Archons. It's actually really decent. So you can see that with the confusion, the enemies are actually whacking each other, which is good for me. They've basically already killed each other off. And of course, the Withering Siphon doesn't kill enemies. It just damages them enough that I can basically one-shot them. Whack these guys. You can see they are all dead, courtesy of each other. 9 Dark Archons now. More confusion. Just make them whack each other. Of course, for the record, I can produce Centurions or Cannons to soak up damage and spend these minerals. But of course, the way I grade these units is how much work they do. So I kind of try to make sure that the Archons get most of the damage by minimizing the number of other extraneous units that I don't really need. I make sure to fight inside this Dark Pylon so that I get a bit of damage increase. And also, if ever I lose an Archon over here, with the cloaking, it will just death recall back to my base. Warping in another dude. So I'm just waiting for it to walk over to this area, and then it's a dark or a black hole. Wait for them to all converge in there, and then use the confuse to make them all take 20 damage per second, and then activate time stop. That's my window to waltz into here. Mind control, a Colossus, a Void Ray, and an Immortal. So this series is called Best Big Boys, meaning massive ground units. And Colossus absolutely count as massive ground units, so I will count them toward the score here. Because again, it's massive ground units. Also because the Dark Archons need pretty much every single bit of help they can get. They won't win anyway, so I might as well give them a little bit of an advantage. to make the score look closer. Artificially. Mind control these two immortals and the void ray. I don't have energy to mind control these void rays, so I just use confuse on them. Yeah, I don't have enough energy. Oh wait, I do actually. Oh, it's just warping in. So I sent a probe over here to drop a dark pylon recall. This is for strategy purposes, because I don't have time to walk all the way from this bonus to this area. So what I'll do is, once I've damaged the bonus enough, I recall my army and start whacking these guys right away. There's Immortal here, which I might control promptly. Make these guys not a thing. More pylons, because at this point I'm floating 2,000 minerals. There is no reason to ever be supply blocked. I use a black hole, confuse them all. They'll make them whack each other and take so much damage while they're in the black hole. I might control these two void rays. Of course, that allowed a lot of enemies to walk into here. But of course, I just drop a black hole and then confuse all of them. That will make them all take so much damage. Incredible amounts of damage. More confuse, shenanigans, and then whack them all. Make them all absolutely not a thing. That was a bit wasteful though, that was a bit wasteful. I didn't need to use two black holes there, but maybe I did. They're walking over here, so I use Dark Archon Confuse to make them whack each other. Of course, that damage at 20 DPS does count toward the Archons, so I will still take that happily. Use 2 confuses, 3 confuses, make them whack each other, and the rest will get shot down by my Colossus and my Immortals, and a bit of work from the Archons themselves. Just to recap, the Colossus are massive ground units. That means I will count their damage towards Vorazun's score, because as you already know, these tests are commander based. That's why you see the commander thumbnails, not the unit thumbnails. Of course, this time they're used, but again, it's about the commander. Actually, the question here is whether I should count the Immortals' damage. Now that's a more interesting question, because the Immortals and the Void Rays are technically not massive ground units, but they're attacking because the Dark Archon produced them for my army. Now, what we did for carriers and dude lords is we count dudelings and we count interceptor damage. But for aberrations, I was not able to count the bailing damage because there's no way to split the damage. I cannot actually split the damage between regular bailings and the bailings that I produced from the aberrations, which is why I did not count the bailings. It was more out of practicality than because I don't think they should. I would count them if I could, but I can't. These Reavers are massive, therefore I will also count their damage towards the massive ground unit stats. And that does really help out. So I move my army over here and now 3 Colossus. I believe I have it's 3 Colossus and 2 Reavers. That's gonna help me significantly with my damage output. Steal the Immortal and the Void Ray, black hole all these guys and confuse them. I was able to steal this Immortal for my own. By the way, I built two cannons here while all that was happening. And you can see one of the nice things about mind control is that it doesn't cost, or it doesn't supply block you. You can be blocked from making more units, but with mind control you can just continuously keep mind controlling and it doesn't stop you. The supply cap doesn't stop you. It will still let you keep mind controlling more and more. That's pretty useful. The bad news is I wasn't actually able to bring this observer over. If I did, I probably would have been able to attack the spot and get the bonus early. That being said, my armies, well, it probably could, but at a big loss. I might not have been able to fend off these attack waves By the way, I'm starting a wall here. You can see I've started 3 cybernetics cores and a dark pylon over here. That is to block out potential enemies that might come through here. By the way, this is an observer. It doesn't count for full clearing. Got some enemies over here. They shot down this observer. The good news is death recall is still a thing. So it just recalls back to base. Make them whack each other. Very nicely done. Look, the immortal survives. Despite the fact that it's almost dead. Okay. Making more pylons over here. There's an attack wave coming right here. So I dark pylon recall a bit of the army. So I still have forces here. I use black hole to trap all these guys and use confuse on the remaining. I was even able to steal one of these immortals, which is nice. Next wave is here, so I once again use dark pylon recall on these guys. I use a massive black hole and use confuse on all these guys, and it'll make them all get brutalized. I'm starting 3 more cybernetics cores over here to really buffer up that wall. Really give myself the leeway I need to survive. I was even able to control additional immortal over there, which is great.
Bots are heading home. Their sheep in need of a shepherd.
Next wave.
There are a lot of wolves on the prowl.
Will be coming in soon. Wave. There it is. I once again use dark pylon recall. It's a pretty good way to get around. It's a pretty awesome way to get around. I actually mind controlled the wrong yet. I meant to mind control one of these immortals. Instead, I misclick and click on the little High Templar. I don't know how. Maybe I'm just that skilled that I'm. Even my misclicks are skilled or something. Of course, it didn't really help me that much, but you know, it's still something. It's still something that you can't really. If I were afraid of splash, then mind controlling the High Templar might be the big boy move here. I use a black hole, mind control that immortal, mind control that void ray, confuse, get in the void ray. These guys were in trouble, so I recall them to safety. The Colossus survived at least. That's nice. Okay, so I do count the damage of the Colossus and the Reavers, so I probably should also counter survivability. The number of Archons and Colossus I produced, then subtract the number I lost. I think it's only fair. If I'm going to counter damage, I should also count my losses. Time stop is available. I will use that to push into here. So let's push and walk up and mind control as much stuff as we can. Get the Colossus. Delete those guys. And I just walk in and get as much damage as I can. Got a void ray over here that I get mind controlled. I can use confuse on these guys. Yes, I do. Fighting at over 200 supply is fun. Get a massive army of Protoss units. Can you imagine going up against this army in 1v1? Do you think any 1v1 race controlled by any 1v1 player could beat this army? Because with decent micro, if you're going up against Maru, who'll be using Terran, all you have to do is confuse his army, and they'll start whacking each other. If you go up against Serral or Raynor, or even Dark or Rogue, who's in the military right now, you just mind control the important units, like the Vipers. Though that being said, Banings might Banings are not a problem. I just confuse and then they'll whack each other. Yeah. Oh well, I'm back down to 170 supply, so that's a bit annoying. That's a bit annoying. So the enemy Protoss has a tendency to send these probes over and rebuild the entire base, which is why I sent this probe over to build a cannon wall over here. so I can whack the enemies.
Don't let them do that.
Or whack the probe before it gets here and rebuilds everything. I warp in 5 Dark Archons here. I use Confuse and eliminate all these guys. I even got 2 Immortals out of it. So this wall that I built earlier is actually paying dividends right now. It's blocking the enemies from getting access to, well, everything I have. I was able to mind control this 1 Immortal. That's gonna be helpful. And the rest are confused. It was Dark Pylon recalled to safety. Mind control 3 Immortals actually, and confuse the rest. I'm back over to 22, which is awesome. If it's a PvP against hero, there's no way because mathematically I have way too many Immortals. I guess his disruptors would be the most dangerous unit. I can just mind control those too. Yeah, I can just mind control those too. But then again, if I mind control the disruptor, I'm not sure if the Purification Nova gets cancelled. Because I know the Purification Nova does friendly fire, so even if it does transfer over to me, if it doesn't get cancelled, it might still kill me.
You know, I never noticed those things floating around here before. I wonder where they came from.
Got Reavers though. I guess I could just straight up mind control his entire army.
Commanders will protect you.
His macro will be his own undoing. He produced too much army and it all went to me. I guess detection is my weak spot here. I don't have any means to attack the Dark Templar. Well, the only reason I haven't made any oracles this game, is because I'm trying to maximize the damage of my Dark Archons. If I didn't need to inflate the numbers of Dark Archons, I probably could make oracles to detect heroes Dark Templar. Okay, here comes a time stop. I might control 2 Colossus, 3, 4, 5, 6 Colossus, and then confuse the rest. Make them absolutely not a thing. Back up to 235 supply, by the way. It's pretty nice. See a bunch of small boys over here. I actually need to see whether they have any other... Okay, these are just observers. They don't count. Observers don't count toward full clear. They don't count toward full clear. Just so you guys know. Alright. I think that'll do it. Yeah, it's a full clear. So they get points for that. Or I get points for that. Alright, that's good. So, we'll just wait for this and end the game. There it is.
Quite excellent.
Alright. So, let's see the damage. Here we are. So, for damage percentage, we'll count Dark Archons with 43.8. And we'll add the Colossus at 4.3. And then we'll add the Reaver at 4.2. Should I count Immortals and the Void Race here? Do you guys think I should count them? Because they did produce for me because of the Dark Archon. Or should I not count them? Because it might skew it a bit too much. Yeah, adding 37.3% might make it a 90%, which will definitely skew the numbers. Alright, maybe I won't. But I think I definitely will add the Colossus and the Reavers because they are massive ground units which count. 619 damage. As to the other score screen, kills. Dark Archon is 45%. Add the Colossus 6%. And the Reaver 5%. That's 56%, which is respectable. Survival. I made 0 and I lost. Well, I guess. Let me see if I can do this right. I lost 14. So that's my remaining units. I divide that by. Oh, I don't know how many Reaver, I don't know how many Reavers and Colossus I had in the end. I know I didn't lose all of them. I know I had some of them remaining, so I might as well not. Yeah, I lost 5 Colossus, but I know at one point I had 6, at least. You know what, let's just do this. Divide by 35. There we go, 60% survival. I'll just do the Dark Archons for survival because it doesn't show me how many I created of these guys, so oh well. Full map clear, half a point, and all bots saved also half a point. That brings Vorazun's Dark Archons up to 5.97. The good news is she does not finish last because Zagara is worse. You guys are brutal. 26%, only 26% of you like Zagara's aberrations. Though to be fair, I don't like them either, so totally fair. Now it's up to you guys though. Do you guys like Vorazun's Dark Archons? Because if 100% of you do like them, he's still pretty much stuck in 4th place. But if none of you like them at all, she's still stuck in 4th place. Okay, I guess it doesn't matter what you guys vote, but do vote anyway because that helps my viewer engagement. There we go. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea of what else to do, please leave it in a comment. Next week we have Carax with Colossus, which should be good. I'll see you guys then.